just wanted to say that, this is a series of webinars we're doing where our audience can kind of hear directly from students in different programs from around the world with different subjects, and also, kind of get to understand education in higher education in different countries and different courses and things like that. So I did want to just put this announcement up here. Yesterday we discussed medicine. Today we're discussing culinary arts and hospitality. And tomorrow we'll be discussing STEM at university, so science, technology, engineering, and math. And we have quite a lot of students from universities all over the world. And Friday we'll be talking about business and liberal arts. And then Saturday we're going to discuss the release of the second edition of Acing Admissions, which is a book that I wrote with my co-founder about studying navigating the application process for US universities. So quite an array of topics we are going to cover this week, but thank you everyone for joining us. And I hope that, and that we are able to kind of touch on everyone's interests, and maybe people even who didn't know what they had an interest in will learn something new. So that is what we're kind of doing this week. And today we are, like I said, we're talking to five students, one of whom is, I think, running late, about studying culinary arts and hospitality specifically. And as a coincidence, or maybe not such a coincidence, all of them are in Europe. So 4 in Switzerland and 1 in France. So we're going to learn more about these courses and how students end up there and what they get out of the course and what it prepares them for. So thank you everyone for joining us this evening. I just will introduce myself. My name is Kim Dixit, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of the Red Pen, which is an independent education consultancy based in Mumbai, India. We have been in operation for the last 9 years, and we don't have 7 global locations, but we have our professional staff and our counselors located in 7 different countries around the world. So we are not, though we have our main office based in Mumbai, we're not sort of geographically limited to, our own what am I trying to say? Our own Mumbai office, and our students that we work with are also all over the world. So we work with students at all levels of education, not just undergraduate, but early advising, postgraduate, MBA, and also boarding schools. And we are affiliated with all the professional organizations for independent counselors. So that's us. And like I said, we've put this together with these amazing hospitality and this amazing hospitality institutes who are kind of preparing students for the best in-class education in this field. So without any further ado, actually I'm going to take 1 minute for further ado, which is to say to our audience that the way we're going to do this today is I am going to ask questions of the panelists, and they're going to give their responses and share their experiences. And then at the end of the discussion, we will have time for Q&A from the audience. So we will have an opportunity for your questions to be answered. So as you have questions, please type them in the Q&A box, and they will be answered, as we get to the Q&A section of our presentation today. So yeah, that's how we're going to do this. And if anyone has any burning questions, you can put them in the Q&A box right now. Otherwise, you can wait until the end. So let me get started. I think I'll introduce first. I'll let the panelists introduce themselves first. So why don't we start with Simran? Go ahead.
Good evening. My name is Simran Bherwani. I'm currently in my 2nd year of studying at Glion, Institute of Higher Education in Switzerland. And I'm doing the BBA in International Hospitality Management course.
Great. Can you also tell us, Simran, a little bit about how you decided to get into this course?
Well, I always knew I wanted a career which involved meeting a lot of people, making new connections, traveling a lot. So therefore, hospitality was the best option for me, because I need to allow me to have a career which allows me to meet people, travel a lot, and it has many, many opportunities.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Mehul, would you like to introduce yourself?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Mehul Chhajer. I'm from Delhi, and currently I'm studying in the second year of Bachelor's in Culinary Arts at Ecole Ducasse. Um, I so since childhood, I had seen my mother and my grandmother cook in the kitchen, and that's what mainly inspired me to get into this field. And yeah, for me, cooking is my passion. It's my way to break out of the daily monotonous routine. And that's something that I want to do in life. I don't want my life to be monotonous, which is mainly why I got into this field and I want to travel. So yeah, that's about it.
Great, that's a great story. Rajveer, can you please introduce yourself?
Well, hello everyone. I am Rajveer Singh, born in Odisha, and since Miss Dixit mentioned boarding schools, I have been schooled at Mayo College in Ajmer, if you know of it.
Okay,
So my
great.
schooling was done there, and for why did I join hospitality was something very similar to what Mehul says. Is it's very dynamic, it's ever changing. I mean, uh, moreover, I love food and beverage, and in this industry, not a single day is the same. Every day it's something different. So the dynamics of this industry, meeting new people, connections, networks, it's huge. So yes, hence hospitality. Thank you.
Great. And Arianna, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone. My name is Arianna Lalwani, and I am currently finishing my second year of my bachelor's degree at Roches in Switzerland. I am getting my degree in global hospitality management. What encouraged me to do this course, I think, was seeing so much of my family in this industry. I've seen them since I was a kid, and I've always interest in it. So when I found the Roche, that it was the perfect school for me and to follow what I want to do.
Excellent. Thank you, all of you, for those introductions. Now I'm going to move on and ask you each individual questions. And, I'd like you to spend some time sharing your experiences, based on the questions, and they've all been shared with you ahead of time. So hopefully, I'm not catching anyone with a surprise. But yeah, so go ahead and we'll go ahead and move on to the individual questions. And I'll start with you, Arianna. So I'd like to know, you said that you got into hospitality because you'd seen your family in it, so you're probably quite familiar with it. But is there anything you did not expect or that surprised you, whether pleasant or unpleasant surprise, that you think, wow, if I'd known that, I would have done something differently, or I would have been, I would have thought about this in a different way?
Outside of my course, I think I didn't expect the life of a small town. I think especially where La Roche is located, we are located in a small little ski village. And as much as I've grown to love it over the years, always living in a big city throughout my life, it was definitely something I had to adapt to. But that's more having to do with location, but it's a lifestyle change for sure, adapting to living in a small city. But about my course, I think definitely how much hard work goes into it, because when you walk into a hotel or a restaurant, you don't truly understand the amount of work that goes on behind the scenes. What's spent like hours before the shift of coming, before people are going to come into the restaurant, all the preparation that goes into it for a banquets event. I mean, for weddings, you see people spend hours and hours prepping days in advance. So definitely throughout my internship, that I think surprised me every single day.
Yeah.
And then even with the courses, I think all of my classes, you just realize how interconnected they all are, and how so many different subjects like economics, marketing, HR, digital marketing and sales, like all of these things, how interconnected they are and how they've all worked together, and you kind of need all of them, and you need all of this knowledge just to pursue this.
Great. Yeah, that's really interesting. And I think it's also very interesting what you say about, being in a small town life, because I think that, you know, even if you were probably in Geneva, it's still much slower and much smaller than Bangalore.
Yeah.
So relatively, lots of things are going to be very different from India. But yes, that's a really good point, and I hadn't thought of that myself. Do you find it difficult to how do you get from Bangalore to Montreux or Montana, wherever you are?
Get into Switzerland, you have to obviously fly in either to Zurich or Geneva. So those are the two main airports. And then from there, you take the train. Public transport in Switzerland is great. It's super safe, super reliable, runs all the time. So you take the train from the airport to campus. And it's a long ride. From Geneva, it's about 2.5 hours in total. From the time you leave the airport to you get to campus.
Right.
So it's definitely a bit of a trek.
So you're not coming home to India every couple of months or anything?
Actually, I've come home every single break. Obviously it's really nice to see family. Right. And while I have the opportunity to come home for weeks at a time, I'm definitely going to take it.
Great. Thank you so much. I think those are very good experiences. I can see Rajveer nodding his head, so it seems like there's a common sentiment there. Okay, I want to go on and talk to Mehul about being a culinary arts student. So I think you know, it's very different from hospitality management, correct? And if you could just talk a little bit to our audience about, you know, a typical day, and then maybe also, it's not here, but if you can even speak about, you know, a typical course structure through a semester or a year, and, you know, what all you sort of end up covering by the end of your course.
Right. So yeah, of course, it's very different in a certain sense because it's way more hands-on, I think. We don't, most of our classes are practical. We only have 30 or 20% theory classes in the first year, that is. So our classes start quite early at around 8, but we have to report at 7:30 to get the kitchen in order. So we have to get the chopping boards, we have to get the hot stoves ready, we have to get the bins in place, sharpen your knives if you have to. Everything should be in place, and then the product comes in. So you wash that, you get everything ready, and then the chef comes in and tells us what we're going to be making that day. So he writes down everything step by step, the recipes, what everyone's supposed to do. And the kitchen, basically, we're all individual gears which have to work together, right? And at the same time, we're learning something new every day, especially for me, because I'm a Jain. So I actually did not cook or eat any meat before I went to Paris. So for me, that was an exposure at another level altogether.
Wow, that's interesting.
But
you'll have to tell us more about that. Go ahead.
So, but the chefs are really supportive. They knew that I hadn't cooked meat or eaten meat before, and it wasn't compulsory for me to eat meat still. But I now have started to eat meat because I want to explore that area. But yeah, so once we get the products and everything, we have the recipes in place, and usually we have our dishes done in about 4.5 hours, after which we all eat the food together. We have a break for about 30 minutes, and then we clean everything up. We have to clean the entire kitchen, the cupboards, everything, take out the trash, sweep the floors, mop it, everything. And then we have around half an hour to an hour to rest, and then we'll start with our theory classes. So we have macrobiology, economics, verbal and non-verbal communication classes, and so on and so forth. So yeah, that's a typical day as a culinary arts student.
And your course is how many years?
It's a 3-year course.
And in 3 years, can you sort of give me a rough idea of what do you exactly cover? What would you have learned in 3 years?
Right. So the first and second year are more focused on the practicality of the subject. So we have more practical classes than theory classes. Theory is about 30%. And our year is divided in a way that 5 months is hands-on training inside the institute, and 5 months we have the internship. Of course, this year I wasn't able to complete the internship because of the pandemic, but otherwise that's the structure. And in the third year, we have more of our theory classes, But the last 5 months, instead of the internship, we have to come up with a plan of our own restaurant. And we have to map it down to the very last detail, including the type of chairs or the cutlery or the plate, or the entire setting, the location, the financial aspect of it.
Oh, that's great. And so do you have an idea of what restaurant you're going to start someday?
Not yet. Very honestly, I haven't given it much thought.
You have
after
still a couple of
graduating,
years, yeah.
yeah, I'm sure I'll be working for quite some time because I just want to explore different cuisines and travel around the world. But yeah.
Excellent. Well, that sounds really exciting. And and I suppose going from Delhi to Paris is not as dramatic as going to a small town.
Yeah, it's not as dramatic, but it's also that because our campus is not exactly in Paris, it's in the suburbs, so that's like 20 minutes from Paris. So that makes a bit of a difference because we're at the institute around almost 8 to 14 hours a day sometimes. So you don't really have the opportunity to go to Paris every day.
Okay.
And the suburbs are obviously relatively more quiet.
Right.
So yeah.
Nice. Great. Well, thank you. I'm sure we're going to have more questions for you as we go ahead. Let me go on now to Rajveer. So Rajveer, and I do have this question from all of you, and I'm sure that that Mehul's answer would be very different. But did you pursue any internships or extracurricular activities before college to figure out that you were definitely interested in this course? And one of the things, sorry, I'll let you answer, but one of the things I know is that in schools abroad, and maybe not in India necessarily, but in schools, there's often a course in this, or some IGCSE schools or GCSEs have in travel and tourism, or they have they'll have a cooking course on the campus or something, but your school may not have. So how did you know that this was for you?
All right. So very interesting story behind this. So it was, I'm from the CBSE board, so we did not have any of these, inculcations of travel tourism or culinary into anything. This was, I don't know if you were aware, but when I was in Mehul, they used to organize a career fair where, many counselors or even schools used to come in.
Yes.
And that was when I came across Mr. Sarosh Daruwala, who's the India head of admissions for Roches and for some education. And coincidentally, what happened, like the situation was that for every recruiter or for every counselor, there was one student assistant assigned from here, to take them around and everything. So the student who was assigned to Mr. Daruwala somehow was not unable to come, and then coincidentally I went to meet him, and we struck a conversation.
Oh wow.
About hospitality, and that I met him for the first time. And then I took him around the school, we had lunch together, and then he told me about this workshop that Roches was hosting at ITC in Delhi, which happens, I guess, once a year annually. It's an annual workshop. So I was like, sure, sir, I'll be more than happy. I joined him there. And then in the workshop, there were different activities. There were professors from Roches who came into the workshop in Delhi. They were judging. And one of the activities were to design a mock hotel at a random location, which you would, get by a random draw. And we were divided into teams. So my team, we got Thailand, designed a great hotel, and I went and presented the concept to the professors. And for some reason, they really liked my concept. And after the workshop got over, I happened to meet one of them, and they told me that I missed the scholarship for the summer camp just by half a point.
Oh.
So that's where they explained it to me that, my aptitude for hospitality and food and beverage is good. Looking at the project that I made with no previous knowledge.
Right.
And that, gave me like a push, I'd say. We've got a small boutique hotel back home. It's a 42-room property. But I never really got the chance of working or interacting with the property because of being in boarding school throughout my life. But after that, I started to, dig in, find some information, came across Roches, came to Switzerland May 2018, saw Roches. And yes, I'd say just that conversation with Mr. Daruwala and that workshop was the only, I'd say, hands-on experience that I had in comparison to hospitality. And yes, here I am, 2 years into hospitality.
And it was the right choice. Yeah. Okay.
Great choice indeed.
And was there any competing plan that you were like, you always wanted to be, an airplane pilot or something you had to give up to pursue this?
Well, not really, but I was very keen on pursuing music because I've been doing music for the last 13 years.
Okay.
However, now when you look at the scenario of music, the level of competition which exists as of now is like immense. It's immense, and then the security factor exactly gets compromised. And when you're looking at changing times, changing needs of the employers, you need to consider the security part of your future, of your career in total.
Right.
So then I made a choice to keep continuing music as my passion, which I still do, but do business and hospitality. And here I am. And particularly I love to specialize in food and beverage out of the whole. Yes.
Excellent. Well, thank you for sharing your experience. I think it's really interesting to see how, just sort of a fateful meeting that you didn't expect and another student didn't show up has sort of set the course for your life.
Yes.
So I think that's a really good message for so many students who feel very worried that they have to have that passion. They have to know it. They have to figure it out. They'll, and I think, these kind of serendipitous moments happen and things go on. So it's really nice to hear your story. All right. So next I will skip Rishabh because he's not here.
Sorry, Ms. Dixit. I'm
you
here.
are here. Oh,
yes.
Great. I cannot see you. Now I see you.
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, no problem. So Rishabh, it's great to see you. Thank you for joining us. And everyone else has introduced themselves, that said what they're doing and how they got into, the course. And I would like you to do that, introduce yourself and talk about your sort of experience with the course, but I'd also like you to tell me, about the curriculum. What is it like in the classroom? And then also, specializations and internships, because I know you are doing an interesting specialization that a lot of students might not be, aware of. So why don't you go ahead?
Yes. So to begin with, my name is Rishabh Badhwar. I'm originally from Gurgaon, India, and just like Rajveer mentioned, I have been part of a boarding school before I joined Glion. But I knew from the beginning that hospitality was the way I wanted to go, because I've always I was given the good fortunate to travel a lot with my parents all around the world, different regions in abroad and nationally as well, within the country. And I was always dumbfounded by the experience, how luxury can make a person, a customer happy, even though he might not be having the best day. Curriculum. I was studying the international hospitality management, and since I'm in my last semester, I chose a specialization of luxury brand management and hospitality. To take you through the curriculum, in the first year, we do more of a practical responses, like practical decisions. Like, for example, we have 2 months in each department, kitchen, in the housekeeping and the rooms division, and then we move on to the more theoretical part, where we study about F&B rooms division, then move on to financial management, and as well as financial accounting. Which gives us a deep understanding about hotel development as well, and not just the practical sense. So it's a good balance between the theoretical and the practical mixture of hospitality. And then in our final semester, we are given the opportunity to work on an applied business project or a thesis, which is your choice, or choose a special, along with that, choose a specialization amongst luxury, finance, and hotel development. So as you can see, I chose luxury because since the first week of my course, I I spoke to my teacher and I had a deep understanding about all three specializations, I understood that luxury was the one which struck me the most. And it's not what people generally think about. It's not all about the product. It's an experience, what you offer to the customer. Luxury can also definitely be, yes, you have a fancy watch, you wear an expensive suit, you go to a hotel which is on top of a mountain which has very beautiful rooms. These are all luxury products, but the experience you create along with it is what luxury brand management is all about. So this is what basically Glion taught us, and it gave us, like I mentioned before, a good balance between our practical knowledge and the theoretical knowledge, as I mentioned. And in regard to the internships, I've done 4 internships so far: 2 in India, 1 in Portugal, and 1 in London. And each were in different departments. One was in in London, I worked in an events company. In Portugal, I worked in the F&B department, and in India, I worked in the reception and as well as the F&B department in the two different hotel properties. And each, I can tell you, gave me a very rounding experience of hospitality, because when I create a name of my own and when I get into the industry professionally, because I'm soon to be graduating in about 10 days. As soon as I graduate, I'll be actually now shifting to Roches, Marbella, for my master's. So just as I was saying, when I enter the profession professionally, like after I've finished my studies, after I finish my master's with La Roche, I want to be a type of leader who knows the business inside out, so I cannot be questioned after that. And Glion has given me the opportunity to do so, and I hope I get the same opportunity with La Roche when I do my master's.
Great. And the master's specialization, I'm sorry, you may have just said this, but is in what?
It's I did not mention that. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I'm specializing in marketing and luxury tourism.
Ah, interesting. That's great.
Yes. So I would like to keep the concept of luxury because that's where I would prefer to work in the department, luxury brand management.
Excellent. So we'll probably ask you some more questions about that in a bit. Yeah, I'm going to move on and ask Simran about her experience. So Simran, I want you to just discuss, what are your goals after you finish the program, and how do you think this the program has prepared you to achieve them? So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, as Rishabh mentioned just a moment ago, there's a specialization in the last semester. So I always knew before I joined Glion that I'll do the luxury branding management specialization. It's something of the main reasons I joined Glion for. So afterwards, I want to have a career which involves me working for a luxury brand in the hospitality, like a hospitality company, for example. Mm-hmm. So I want to have this interaction, create branding strategies, work for a well-known company. And because Glion helped me prepare for this, because from the very first semester, the practical arts were put into different teams. In teams, we worked in different departments like F&B, housekeeping, rooms division. So we're already learning how to work in groups, understand how to be a group leader, how to help every group member. So I feel like it's a very useful skill to have in actual business. That was one of the things the practical arts course helps us. Then the 2 internships already allow me to have 1 whole year of experience in the actual business before graduation. So my first internship took place at the Sheraton Warsaw Hotel and at the front desk. So I was communicating with people, interacting with different types of people, dealing with stressful situations, and just learning how it works in the hospitality industry. And my second internship will take place after my semester 7, as it's been postponed due to the pandemic. So that's going to be more in, like, ideally in a marketing department. So that way I'll get to learn more about communication, how to actually work in the business world.
Great.
And other than that, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
We also have like extracurricular activities. So for example, I'm part of the marketing ambassador program, which allows me to learn more about branding, marketing strategies. So that in a way is a very useful skill for my career choice in the future. And just all these like different processes Glion has helped me choose Glion as to help me in my future career.
And just on that topic of extracurricular activities, what else do you do? I mean, can you tell us besides that, what else do you do outside the classroom, and how much time do you really have?
So first of all, like I said, there's the ambassador program, which involves students applying for 3 different types of ambassadors: marketing, welfare, and campus life.
Okay.
So,
for the
sorry?
For the Glion Institute itself.
Yes, for Glion.
Okay, got it.
And for example, campus life, they organize different events throughout the semester. Welfare, or take care of like general campus health, students' welfare. And marketing, create more of different activities, promotions on campus.
Okay.
Other than the ambassador program, we have committees. So there's, for example, networking committee, which helps you interact with many people, make connections, wine committee, sports committee, and like several other committees which students can apply for prior to the semester.
That's great. So all of those things, I guess, combine to help you kind of be prepared for, the workforce. I wanted to ask you because, okay, so now I think I'm done with all the questions I had prepared, but I did want to ask, and I guess I'll just randomly choose, but you all are, one of the things I'm noticing about all of you is that you're all quite sort of poised and ready to present, and very, very well trained in sort of the art of talking to people. And this is something that, not everyone of your age has, and people often feel quite nervous about public speaking or shy or whatever. So can you just tell us what is involved in the course that prepares you for that? Because it is a big part of the job, right? So Arianna, I'll just let you speak since you spoke the most at the first.
Yeah, so definitely, I think speaking for myself, I was always quite shy growing up, like giving presentations, even in front of like a small classroom. But I think one thing that comes along with the industry is you really have to become comfortable with people, because essentially that's what this industry is. It's people.
Yeah.
Really. So I know through school, we have our careers department, and they, especially in BBA 1, because they're preparing you to go into your first internship, they have courses almost every week with the first semester students. So they'll take us in, they kind of explain us how interviews will go, kind of teaching us how we need to present ourselves in this industry.
And
so
that's a compulsory part of the course?
Yes, it's a compulsory course that is there almost every semester.
Oh, that's really interesting. I mean, if any of the others of you have some more to say about this, you can feel free to unmute yourself and answer.
Just to add to what Arianna said right now, it's we've got opportunities here where our interacting skills, our public speaking and soft skills are, we are allowed to test them ourselves. For example, it was just last evening that I had a mock interview with the career services department, just to ensure again that my skills regarding talking to people or having a one-on-one interview, because these people, they know what an employer expects, and hence they are here to guide you so as to tell you, that's how and that's what the answer that they're looking for. Or maybe, for me personally, the problem is they say my answers are too long. So it's honest feedback. You say you need to cut short, be to the point, because nobody has a lot of time. They have other people to interview as well.
Yeah, okay.
So it's just small opportunities where you can go and practice.
Yes.
Practice your skills, public speaking skills, mannerisms, presentation and everything.
Yeah, I think that. Sorry, go ahead. I think I had an internet issue. Go ahead, Arianna.
Just to add to that, at La Roche especially, we have a club called Sharp Speakers, which was formed a few semesters ago, and that's essentially just to help promote students into doing like public speaking and just like speaking more in front of crowds, basically. So just develop your professional speaking skills, using the right mannerism, the right language, how to present yourself, body language. So I know for a lot of my friends especially, it's been super helpful for them because they've been able to go out of their comfort zone within that club.
Oh, that's great.
And that's really promoted themselves.
Mehul, I wanted to know in your course, is there
Right.
anything that is sort of in this level of, you know, sort of behavioral or discipline related that you feel is very sort of valuable?
Yeah, actually, this year one of the courses that we had was verbal and non-verbal communication, which was basically to help us with our resumes and for our interviews and all, because usually chefs don't talk to, you know, people in the restaurant, like the customers in the restaurant, right?
Yeah.
So for my batchmates, a lot of them were not very confident in interviews and in general. So that course helped them. For me personally, it wasn't a problem because I have been into theater and elocution and all. So it's not a problem for me, but for other people, I think the course really helped them.
Was there anything, again, I'm just going back to this point because like I was saying, because at the Red Pen, we do support a lot of students with boarding school applications. And I've visited so many boarding schools, particularly in the UK, that offer like Leith's course. Do you know what Leith's is?
No, I'm not.
So I didn't know, it's basically a course you can do in high school, or you can do A-level. I don't actually, you can't do A-levels, but you can do the Leith's course and you really just, you learn, you know, everything about like all the, you know, everything about a kitchen, how to prepare different foods. I mean, but it's a part of your curriculum and you get sort of a certification for it and you can even be employed on a Leith's list and things like that. But it's in high school. Now I'm just wondering, so those students, the ones who've done that and then they have a passion, they must then end up in places like Ecole Ducasse and then they know obviously much more than you. So did you, if you never had it in school, so did you ever feel that, you know, there were students out there who were more prepared or that you were at any disadvantage for not having that kind of exposure?
Kind of. So for me, actually, in our batch, there are people from different age groups. So I'm actually one of the younger ones. I think the second youngest in my batch. So the age range is from 18 to 31. And so, of course, other people have more experience in the field. Also for me, because other people have cooked meat before, it was obviously more of a challenge. But overall speaking, I don't think the difference is huge because the course is divided in a way that every month you're dealing with a new product and you're learning as you go, right? So if you're paying attention in class, it's actually not a problem. Of course, someone might be a little bit faster than you, but there's always scope for improvement and the chefs are always there to support you. So it's not really a problem.
Sorry, I was muted. One question that I've gotten from an audience member is someone, again, asking about this, the vegetarian issue. So this person says, I'm sure you can see the question, but that they've turned vegetarian for the environment and doesn't want to go back on that and doesn't want to experience meat anymore. So is it possible to sort of function if that's the case?
Absolutely. I actually know chefs who don't eat meat, but they cook meat. You don't necessarily need to eat meat to cook meat or to know the correct, you know, the doneness of meat. And even if you don't want to cook meat, veganism as a concept is really growing nowadays. And even for me, the last few months, I've been experimenting with my own cuisine. So we are Jains, but we are from Kolkata, from Murshidabad actually. So the cuisine there is called Seherwali cuisine because it's vegetarian. It's in Bengal, and it's basically derived from Rajasthani cuisine. So Rajasthan is one end of the country, and Bengal is the other. So it's a unique cuisine, but it's vegetarian. And the last few months I've been experimenting with that to make it more modern and approachable. And to be very honest, there are several cuisines in India and even abroad, I'm sure, which are vegetarian based. And I think in the culinary industry, there is a revolution around having new cuisines out there, more innovative stuff that you can always create. Veganism is just one, part
Right,
of that
right.
revolution. But there's always scope
That's
for
great. That's great.
to create something new.
Yeah, so the idea is that you're bringing your own experience to, to introduce something new and contributing something to the program, actually, which is, I think, really important to recognize. Thank you for that information. I think one question I'm getting is, actually, there's two questions. Simran, did you also say that sorry, Arianna, sorry. Did you also say you're going for the master's in the Roches? Master's program?
That was me, madam. That was me.
Yeah, that was you. Okay, fine. So would you like to answer the question about what is the master's admission process like?
So once again, I've been, like Rajiv said, I was in touch with Mr. Daruwala, and I've gotten to be with him and known him for the past 4 years. So we've developed a relationship, and we were just discussing like about my plans about after graduation, as I wanted to take his advice, as he's been in the industry far longer than I have, and since we have a relationship, he would give me honest, critical feedback. And especially with this current situation with the pandemic, I chose to do my master's so I can delay the process and get a better job than what I was getting right now. So he helped me guide me through the process, and it's basically like any other application you would submit for bachelor's or master's program, where you fill out an application, you fill out the specialization you want to do in master's, and you send in into. So they really look into is about your why you want to choose that particular university, and why should they take you for that course. So in your motivational letter or something, or the other documents which you submit while you're applying for a master's, it can be just 100 words, but it should be straightforward. Why they should accept you and why you want to go there. Basic two questions you should answer. And
Is
if you
there
know
an
what you like,
interview?
and I believe so, but I wasn't asked for an interview.
Okay.
Fortunately or unfortunately, I'm not sure why.
Okay.
But actually the day before I got my formal acceptance.
Oh, great.
So yeah, so I'll be starting in October.
Excellent. Okay. I wanted to someone has a question here about what are the career options after doing a bachelor in tourism studies, but are any of you doing tourism studies specifically? No.
I'll be doing my master's in luxury tourism.
Okay.
If that
so what do
helps.
you expect your sort of career options to be after that?
So since I've already specialized in luxury brand management, I wanted to open up the pool of luxury to other aspects as well. Because as everyone has mentioned before, that hospitality is not just one thing. It's the people as well. It's not just, like I mentioned before, it's not the product, but it's the experience. And luxury tourism can give me very good opportunities to work with different companies around the world, not necessarily in tourism, but in the luxury industry. But having the knowledge of the luxury tourism will always back you up in the industry, as it will come up in any job you take.
Okay.
Of course, regarding luxury.
Now, I have a question, and this may apply to all of you except for maybe Simran, which is when you're talking about these jobs, and someone specifically asking Mehul, after the culinary course, how does it work in terms of staying back, getting jobs in Europe, the internships, the visas? Can someone shed a little bit of light on that situation?
Personally, for me, it's not a problem because I've always wanted to travel. I mean, of course, visa requirements depends from countries to country, but I know other chefs who have gone abroad for their courses, and after that, they've even gotten jobs abroad, and they have traveled different countries, and it doesn't seem to be a problem.
Okay.
If you're mentally prepared, then it shouldn't be a problem. But of course, that's a decision you have to make.
And also, if I may add, visa requirements is also a major issue when you're applying for internships, as Mehul mentioned, because I got the but it also depends on the company. Like, for example, if you have an Indian passport, no one from Glion who has an Asian passport has gone to London for an internship because they don't accept, the country does not accept Asian passports or non-EU citizen, not basically non-EU passports for student work visa. But the company was impressed by my interview and by my resume, and hence they gave me a certain push. So like I was able to do my internship there in London. So generally there is an issue which people come through because of the type of passport they're currently holding.
Okay.
But again, it's an issue which can be resolved as I got my visa in 5 days, in 5 working days, and I was told that I wouldn't get it at all. So
That's great.
there is a chance. It depends on the company if they would fight for you or not, basically.
Okay. What about Rajveer, Arianna? Any experience with that? Anything?
I'd like to mention something now. When you talk about you holding an Indian passport, I will not present a flowery picture for you. It does not work in many of the cases. I'll be very honest.
Very true.
However, there's a key to this, or I'd say there's a hack to it, which I have personally noticed. Let's say you love a company. For me, I love the Ritz-Carlton to work for. Now, UK is not passports when it comes to work visas. However, there are some countries which have eased regulations. Now here, when I'm talking about countries like Portugal, Spain. We can be looking at Netherlands. We can be looking at Brussels in Belgium. And, these are big hospitality hubs as well, these countries. When you say Ritz-Carlton, I really wanted to work for one, could not really get the properties in the UK and hence went to Portugal. So my first internship was in Portugal, in Ritz-Carlton property. It's called the Penhalonga Resort in Sintra. I worked in the F&B department, and to be very honest, there was not a single error or not a single, I'll say, obstacle in the visa process. So, however, some countries may or may not accept you with an Indian passport, but there's always alternatives to maybe if you have a particular brand to work with. Right. So there's always a way to get through and make yourself a position in Europe. Also, to add to someone who asked the question about the application process for the MBA program, I'd really request you to please go to leroches.edu and because everything with every detail is mentioned there. And after that, if at all you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact us. So.
Right. I think that's a very good point. I mean, we are answering questions based on, everyone's personal experience here, but there's a very kind of sort of set process that needs to be followed and expectations that these institutions have that students that you need to look into. So I think though you guys have great experiences, there's also a lot of other resources. So people should look into that. I think I'm getting a question. I'm going to ask this question. I don't know who is the best person to answer, but is Les Roches Switzerland or Spain a better campus, or what is the difference? Arianna is answering. There she goes.
I'll start off. So I haven't been to the Spain campus, but I know a lot of my friends chose to do a semester there. And I think I wouldn't say one is better than the other. I mean, obviously I might be biased to Switzerland because I've been there for the past 2 years, but I definitely wouldn't say that one isn't better than the other. They're just two completely different experiences. because they're such drastically different places. Like in one, you're up in the mountains near a ski village, and one, you're in Marbella by the beach.
Yeah.
So like it's completely different lifestyles, and there's so much difference. Course-wise, it's exactly the same. What you do as a third semester student in Switzerland is the exact same thing you'd be doing as a third semester student in La Roche Marbella.
Yes, I think that a lot of times students are a bit conflicted because they know that or they feel that Switzerland is the classic, experience and the classic campus. But I think Spain is much, much less expensive, actually, the Spain campus, if I'm not wrong.
I believe so, but I'm not quite sure.
Yeah.
But that's the reason, ma'am. That's the reason, and which is because of the cost of lifestyle compared to the two countries.
Yeah.
So when you look at Switzerland, it is way higher, the cost of lifestyle, and hence, which seconds the fact that the fees are higher.
Right.
And in Spain, of course, it's way cheaper to live, way cheaper to do everything. Hence, the fees are lesser. But as Arianna mentioned, the course curriculum, everything is exactly the same. So on a lighter note, it just comes to beach versus mountains, whichever you like.
Yeah, how can you say no to either one? Yeah.
You have the option to do both.
Yes, that's
during
right.
your third, fourth semester as a La Roche student, you can choose to essentially study abroad. So you can choose between going to the Spain campus, you can transfer to Glion and go to London for a semester, or you could even go to the China campus.
Okay, this is great information.
So
yeah,
so you have the option that for a semester you can study abroad. So you're still a La Roche Switzerland student or a La Roche Spain student, but you're spending a semester abroad to experience this different lifestyle and kind of enhance your global mindedness.
Great. So on that note, I want to let Simran speak for a minute because I feel like I haven't given her much opportunity. But one thing I wanted to ask you, Simran, is about internships and where and what they've been like and where you've done them. But also I wanted to ask you about someone's asking a question about the resume. So when you applied for your course and you had to put together a resume, what was that like? And I think a lot of the reason I'm asking, I want this question to be answered specifically is because I think a lot of students feel that they need to have a resume that says that they've done so much in hospitality, and lots of students at the age of application haven't done anything. So two questions: internships after the fact and experiences before the fact to put on your resume.
Well, for example, in the situation of Glion, they understand that there's a chance of no past experience. So they accept like a very basic resume, your name, where you come from, what extracurricular activities you've done in the past, into Glion. And when you're applying for your first internship, they prepare you by making the CV look more professional, adding details about what you've learned throughout the first semester course, the practical arts, the details of the practical arts course. And then once you finish with the internship, then that gets sort of add on to your CV. So in a way, it's just building on from having like a very empty CV to fulfilling different aspects of it. And Glion's internship office, I think same for La Roche, they help you with creating your own CV. They have a template, and they show you how to make a professional resume. So I think it's something you learn throughout the process.
Plus the interview training and all of that, right?
It's interview training, finding internships.
Yeah.
Having like a sort of mock interviews.
Great. So it sounds like
also, if I may.
Yes, please go ahead.
Sorry. Also, if I may add, just talking about the interview process, because we have this thing done in Glion specifically in semester 7 in our final semester, where we have we have a lady who comes to the campus and specifically talks to us for 2 days about the process and the formal procedure of an interview, and then we book a time slot with her and we have a one-on-one interview on Skype, just to make sure everything is correct. How you, as Rajveer mentioned about, they give you critical analysis about your soft skills, which includes how you speak, where you're looking at the camera, how you answer the questions, the length as well, and basic stuff which seems ordinary to the normal person, but creates a big difference to the employer. So this is a it's called the career planning course, which happens here in semester 7 in Glion. So which is also very beneficial for us as students, hospitality students.
Glion puts a lot of effort into like the small details, because and that helps create the bigger picture.
That's great. Well, it sounds like I said, you all are so, you all seem so well prepared for the workforce and for, the kind of roles that you're training for. So it's really wonderful to see that the education has kind of really sort of worked and done its job. Except Mehul, we haven't been able to sort of taste any of your delicacies, but we will someday. But yeah, I mean, I guess we are done. Actually, we're out of time, and I really want to thank all of you for for your time and for answering our questions. And I'm sure we could have gone on. I'm personally very fascinated with this, with this field and this industry, and I think that some of the things that we maybe didn't get to, and I encourage people who are considering this field to get in touch with us, and we can put you in touch with more students. So we have no problem with these students, with other students, is just, the idea that if I do this course, I have to then, work in a hotel. It's not true. I'm sure you guys know many people who do all sorts of jobs and all sorts of industries who have done this course. So, and even Mehul, I'm sure you don't, have to be a chef. There's lots of opportunities that your classmates and people like that have kind of gotten into that wouldn't have been expected in doing this course. So I think it's wonderful to hear all of your experiences and maybe open up everybody's mind a little bit about what it means to study this course. So thank you so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for having us on the webinar.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. And for the audience, please do get in touch with us at the Red Pen if you have any further questions. And like I said, they can be questions just, I would like to, speak to Mehul or Rishabh or Rajveer or Arianna, Simran, anybody about something they said in the webinar. That I really encourage you to get in touch with us, and we'd be happy to connect you with the students. So thanks again.